This is a Film Stories original podcast.
At Sierra, discover great deals on top brand workout gear, like high-quality walking shoes, which might lead to another discovery.
40,000 steps, baby. Who's on top now, Karen?
You've taken the office step challenge a step too far. Don't worry, though. Sierra also has yoga gear. It might be a good place to find your zen. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Hello and welcome to We Are Starfleet, a Star Trek Strange New Worlds podcast on the Film Stories Podcast Network. I'm your captain for today's show, Ashley Thomas, and today we are discussing the second episode of the third season of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Wedding Bell Blues. In this episode, Nurse Chapel returns from her fellowship with a special guest, and he's not the only unexpected guest on the Enterprise. We discuss all this and more in today's show. Written by Kirsten Beyer and David Reed, and directed by Jordan Canning. Joining me to discuss the episode is the host of our sister show on the Film Stories Podcast Network, Make It So, a Star Trek Legacy podcast. It's Geoff Owen. Welcome back to the show, Jeff.
Thank you, Ashley. Glad to be here. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm well, bro. How you doing, bro?
I'm not too bad, thank you. Really happy that we're getting to watch some Strange New Worlds after 2 years.
Oh my gosh, it's been ages, so I'm really excited to have it back. For sure. Well, Jeff, what are your overall thoughts going into season 3, other than, oh my gosh, when is it getting here?
I had to go back and rewatch Hegemony ahead of it, because when we got the first episode, it's like, oh my god, what the hell happened in that last episode now? I know you had a bit of a long wait. I know you're too young to remember it, but a long wait between Best of Both Worlds Part 1 and Best of Both Worlds Part 2. Wasn't so bad here in the UK. I think it was about a week and you had about 3 months. But two flipping years? I mean, come on. That's unfortunately one of the downsides of streaming, isn't it? It's you get the episodes, well, on some shows you get them dropped in one go, and then the hype is over and you've got to wait a year for more episodes. I can't remember anything that happened in the last season of Stranger Things, so you know.
I can, but that's my favorite show besides all things Star Trek.
But yeah, absolutely. I was so excited going into this. You know, we'd had Section 31, which was a thing. So I couldn't wait to join Pike and crew back on the Enterprise. I knew this was the Star Trek I was excited for.
Same. Definitely happy to have it back for sure. So let's talk Wedding Bell Blues. What are your general thoughts on the episode? And if you had to give it a rating out of 10, where would you rate it?
When I started watching it felt a little bit like I was watching the first episode of the season, because they were tying up everything from the end of the first season. Second season with Hegemony Part 2, the first episode. So it felt a little bit odd going into this, and my rating of the episode improved over the course of the episode. It started off maybe about a 6 or a 7, but by the end of it, it was a good solid 8, I think.
All right, yeah. I had some fun with it. There's definitely a lot that I'm excited to discuss. I think for me, it's probably going to land more in the 7-ish range. But we'll talk about that more in just a little bit. Yeah. So we've got all kinds of tension in this episode. First of all, this was directed by Jordan Canning, who directed Charades last season. Which is the episode where Spock is human instead of half human, half Vulcan. And that was my Girls Trip episode. I love a Girls Trip episode, as you well know. So I was really excited to get Jordan back in the director's chair for this one, because I think she's really good at balancing that rom-com energy that was in that episode, and I think we've got some of it in this episode too, though this is a little more sci-fi than rom-com. So what did you think of how they did the Spock Chapel Oh, wait, I haven't seen you in 3 months. Oh, wait, you're coming back with a date? Who, this guy? How'd you feel about all that?
Well, that's it. I mean, it's only been a week since the last episode, but obviously 3 months have passed. And that's what I was saying with Hegemony Part 2 wrapping up the end of the previous season. This felt more like the start of the new season, whereas Hegemony Part 2 was just obviously finishing off that storyline from last season.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I did love the fact that Spock, even though he's Vulcan, even though he's playing it down, you can see the excitement in his face. He gets the call saying that Chapel's coming on board, and I love the way that Ethan Peck completely underplays the emotion, but you can tell it's there bubbling under. He's got this slight grin on his face when he knows that Chapel's coming back, and you see it again when Corby's there, and he's got this look of disappointment, and then the look of rage later on as well. He's really, really good at underplaying the emotions, but you know they're there. So yeah, absolutely, I loved seeing it.
Yeah. One of the things I really enjoyed in this episode is his performance. You know, he's saying all of the, taking everything very seriously. My feet are warm, thank you. The whole what he says to Sam Kirk, trying to, wake him up out of the
likes your
spell that he's.
mustache.
Yeah. See, I wrote it down because it was so funny to me. All the
I've got it here. You're sloppy,
Yeah.
less intelligent than your brother. No one likes your mustache, and you have terrible taste in wine.
Yeah, I mean, hey, all things that would have solicited a punch from me,
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, Corby deserved that one. Sorry, Sam would have deserved to punch him in the face. So I get it confused
Yeah.
between scenes there.
Yeah, that worked pretty well for me. But anyway, that's more on the comedy side. I want to rewind just a sec. The Spock and Chapel kind of ill-fated, and I think some of this is because we don't see it in the original series. We know that Chapel's engaged to Corby in an original series, so we know that Spock and Chapel aren't here for the long haul, unfortunately, even if I like them together. But Christine also, like, she struggles with commitment, and so it was good to hear her finally just say straight up to Spock, "I'm sorry, I can't." Versus like keep him hanging on the line.
Yeah, well, with Corby, she's got somebody now that's loving her back, and clearly shows he's loving her back. I mean, Spock obviously has got his way of showing Chapel how much he loves her, but for someone like Chapel, it's not enough. So Corby's come onto the scene, and you can tell he's so head over heels in love with her, that she's just accepted it. And we hear the story during the party later about how he took her on that date. There was that great conversation, and then Corby's obviously explaining to Spock later on about the fact that she was on my in my party originally, but then she did something and I've completely fallen for her. So yeah, I think from Chapel's point of view, Corby is the better option for her, even though Spock, you've got to feel so disappointed for the guy. He obviously loves her, and I think we see in the original series a few years down the line that Chapel, it's meant to have been like Chapel pines after Spock and Spock doesn't love her, but now with this new retelling you can say, well, Christine is still pining for Spock, but Spock probably hasn't forgiven her for what's happening over the course of these seasons of Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, it's it definitely gives that future in TOS another layer of complexity. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But speaking of Roger Corby, what do you think of Killian O'Sullivan as Roger Corby?
I'll be honest, it's been a while since I've seen What a Little Girl's Made Of, the original series episode. I was
Yeah.
trying to remember if Michael Strong put any sort of Irish tint on the voice, and I don't think he did. I think he was a full-blooded American in that original series episode. But I like his character in this. He could have gone back and played him because the one thing I remember about Corby was he was quite boring, quite straight. But Killian O'Sullivan is putting this great spin on him and this great character performance. And, later on when we get this entity that's interfering with things, you can see him there desperately trying to talk to Christine. And you see him sort of running his fingers over his knees and just basically saying, I need to talk to you, I need to talk to you. And he's being put off at every turn. But yeah, I love the enthusiasm and I love his character in this. I think I hope he isn't just a one and done. I hope we see more of him.
Yeah, I hope so too. I thought he was really fun, really charming, and everything that the entity says about him. Just look at him, so smart and handsome and perfect. It's annoying.
Yes, that makes perfect sense.
Yes. Laughed so hard. That was great. Yeah, so I hadn't gone back to watch the one episode Roger Corby was in either, but honestly, I don't care. I was so charmed by Killian O'Sullivan. I'll roll with a little bit of rewriting. It's not like this is the first time in any media that somebody has suddenly lost or gained an accent.
No, very true, actually.
Yeah. So, cool. How do the comedy beats in this episode work for you?
I love Star Trek when it's funny. I always have. It's got a long history of let's have a funny episode, all the way back to Trouble with Tribbles and A Piece of the Action. I love it when Star Trek takes a step back and stops taking itself seriously. And Strange New Worlds has carried on the baton with this. Yeah, I loved the comedy beats, even from the moment in the first couple of scenes where La'an is teaching Spock to dance, and she's commenting on the fact that, that the Gorn are, what does she say? The Gorn are less ravenous than prima ballerinas. I laughed out loud at that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, when even a character like La'an has got these comedy beats, this is a great show. And I'm sure my former co-host Kurt is probably cringing at this because he loves Star Trek and is more darker and more involved. But I love these comedy episodes. But yeah, I can't wait to see the darkness that we're meant to be getting in this season of Strange New Worlds as well. So I'll take the diversity absolutely any day.
Yeah, I would agree. I love when Star Trek is silly and doesn't take itself too seriously. I love all the funny stuff that always makes me really happy. So the comedy beats in this episode worked for me. I enjoyed that quite a bit. Like you said, because this felt like, hey, this is the first real episode of this season versus, just wrapping up part one of, our season finale last year, or 2 years ago, I guess. Last season, I should say. It felt a little early in the season for a comedy episode for me. We normally warm up with action adventure episode, which I guess we did with Hegemony Part 2, but I don't know, it just felt a little early for the comedy beats for me, but that may just be my own personal preference. That being said, I really enjoyed all the comedy in the episode. I thought it was well done, it was funny. I really enjoyed anytime Spock had to deadpan deliver anything, that's all Spock does, but when it's meant for humor versus conveying information or serious conversation or whatever, like I have placed my shoulders with for optimum precision or whatever it was he said about that while dancing. I laughed really hard about that because he's yes, he is doing the moves accurately, but he's very rigid with it, you know? It's such a Spock thing. And then, you know, we already touched on the conversation with Sam Kirk. Love that.
Did you get
Go ahead.
Dr. Crusher teaching Data to dance vibes about Laan
Ooh,
teaching Spock as well? Um,
that's a good shout. I didn't think about that, but yeah, that's a really good shout there. Good comparison.
yeah, one thing I was wondering as well was I just had a quick look back to see what the second episode of season two was. And of course, it was the brilliant Ad Astra per
Yeah.
Aspera. Um, I'm wondering if because this season has opened with such a action-packed, traumatic episode in Hegemony
Mm-hmm.
Part 2 that they've gone, you know what, let's have it a little bit more light-hearted, possibly leading into where we're going next with this season. Yeah, we're going to have some light-hearted episodes later on as well, from what I understand, but for all we know, you may have seen it already there, Ashley, but episode three may be going into Strange New Worlds' dark territory again, because wasn't episode three Memento Mori in the first season? Um,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and and it was Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow in the second season. So,
Yeah.
you know, we potentially we've got that sort of running for the order again, but yeah, I get what you're saying with it being a little early, but I think it might have been a bit of a moose bouche after the after what happened in the first episode.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It's a good palate cleanser, kind of lighten the tone a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, overall, I think comedy here works well. But you know, we've been referring to him as the entity. But I would love to hear who you think Reese Darby's character is, Jeff. You said you had a couple of theories.
Yeah, well, I the messaged you before we started recording. It's like there's um, two clear characters. It is for me. It's either AQ
Mm-hmm.
or it's Trelane.
Okay.
Particularly because the ending is very similar to Squire of Gothos from the original series.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, is this a younger version of Trelane again?
Yeah, I was leaning Trelane because of how the end wraps. I went back and watched Squire of Gothos before we started recording this morning, and because I probably haven't watched that since I originally watched the original series, and that would have been 2009. So
A while then.
it's been a hot minute since I'd seen that episode, and now I'm appreciating it with fresh eyes. And so, kind of from what I understand, Trelane is kind of the inspiration for the Q, but there's never been any clarity whether or not Trelane is a Q. But based on his attire and the styling of his hair, I think Reese Darby is Trelane, personally.
There's a novel that came out in the 90s. I think it was by the sadly recently deceased Peter David. I
Mm.
think it was Q Squared,
Mm-hmm.
where Q meets Trelane. And the idea is that Trelane is very much a member of the Q,
Mm.
which obviously gets hinted at even more at the end of this episode when the entity's father turns up, and what do you know? Familiar
It's
voice.
John Delancey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really fun. Watching this episode for the first time and having a like, ah, my gosh,
Yeah.
moment.
I was the Leonardo DiCaprio meme on that. Was like, "Oh my God,"
Yeah,
pointing at the screen.
same. We definitely did a lot of Leonardo DiCaprio pointing memes in my living room watching this episode. So I thought that was really fun. Uh, him just, whimsically, floating about the Enterprise. Oh, I'm your wedding planner. Also, I'm going to officiate your wedding. Also, I'm going to, do XYZ, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to be your caterer and your best man and all this other stuff. I'm like, okay, bro, calm down. uh, but I really enjoyed his performance. I don't know that I've seen Reese Darby in a ton of things. Have you seen him in anything else?
I mean, his famous one is Flight of the Conchords, which is, I believe, an Australian or New Zealand comedy
Mm-hmm.
series, but it's not one I've seen that much of. But I have seen him. Oh, that's what I've seen him in. The Jumanji movies. He is
Yes.
Nigel Billingsley in the Jumanji movies, and he's quite a good character in that. He's playing, if I remember, an NPC who's only got a certain amount of responses programmed in, so he'll only respond a certain way. But yeah, I could watch more of him. He's very entertaining. I'll give him that. So um, I'd be I'd be interested to see more of him in Flight of the Conchords to see exactly what that was all about.
Yeah, I've seen like a couple of episodes of Flight of the Concords, but unfortunately, I've never gotten around to finishing it. And I know it's definitely like my style of humor, so I'm looking forward to doing that at some point. I'm looking over his IMDb as well. He does a lot of comedy. I think most folks listening to us would probably know him for his recent turn on Our Flag Means Death as,
Mhm.
I hope I do not say this improperly, Stede Bonnet.
I will take your word for it on that one.
I haven't actually watched that either, so my apologies. I'm sure everybody listening to the podcast is screaming at me right now. So, but I hear nothing but really good things about that show too. So I just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah.
You know,
So
when you're in our line of work, Jeff, it's hard to have time to watch or take in anything that isn't for a podcast
no,
or an
exactly.
article, right?
I only watched
Yeah.
Megan for the first time the other night, and
Oh
that's
wow.
been out a few
Yeah.
years as well by now. Um, I noticed Rhys Darby's done a lot of voice acting as well on
Yes.
his IMDb
Yes.
profile. And to be fair, with his voice, I can't blame him because
Yeah.
he's great. He's got such
Yeah.
a unique voice.
Yeah, I thought it was definitely really fun, really charming. I see why he stays busy.
Yeah.
That's for sure, for sure. Yeah. So I'm banking on Trelane myself. Or do you have a preference over your two theories? Which one he is, or is he
Lane, I
both?
think, is my preferred one. I
Mm-hmm.
think the John Delancey cameo as his father is probably a bit of a curveball. I think they've just gone, oh, who can we get? Because I don't know if is it William O. Campbell?
Mm.
I don't know if he's still around. Something tells me he's passed away, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you're gonna get somebody who's played an omnipotent character on Star Trek, then absolutely get John Delancey. But
Sure.
yeah, I'm thinking Trelane.
Yeah, and you know, I one of the things that I'm curious about this episode, because thank you to Paramount Plus for hooking our show up with screeners, but the one of the things I'm interested to see play out is how fans are going to react to this, because this
Yeah,
episode was co-written by Kirsten Beyer. Kirsten Beyer is a staff writer for Discovery. She's co-creator and producer on Picard, and she wrote a metric ton of Star Trek Voyager novels.
that's where
So
I know her name from.
yeah, so she's also wrote some of the Picard comics. So she's got a long history writing for Star Trek. It makes me lean towards the idea, like what you said. You've already mentioned that Peter David novel. Uh, the suggestion here is that not only is this Trelane, but Trelane is AQ, particularly by casting of John Delancey as the floating glowing entity that tells his little boy to go to his room.
I think a lot of recent Trek has been doing that, hasn't it? Haven't they? Because
Mm.
the Prodigy did that in the second series by connecting the travelers with the supervisors from the original series, and I'm wondering now
Mm.
if they're doing the same thing by saying, "Yep, Trelane was a Q," and to prove it, here's John Delancey as Trelane's father, if this is Trelane. So
Yeah, I'm curious how the canon police are going to react to this.
Yeah, every so often when we get these screeners, we watch them and we're there going, oh, and realizing you can't talk to anyone about it unless you're doing it on a podcast. And it's like, I want to talk to somebody
Right.
and find out what else they think about this.
Yeah, so this is very cathartic indeed. Yeah, and they are dropping
I think at the point of
this
record,
episode. Go ahead.
I think I was going to say at the point of recording, I don't think this episode's due out officially for 3 weeks. To give you some time scale on this.
Yeah. I was gonna take a look at David Reed is the other co-writer on this. So he wrote for The Boys. He's written a few episodes of Strange New Worlds. He wrote Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Lost in Translation in season 2. So
Okay.
yeah, so that's good to know. Good info there. He's a younger writer, so he's a little fresher in his career. But hey, you get attacked with working with one of the most prolific writers of Star Trek. Be that TV or novels. Then obviously you're working with somebody who knows their stuff. And Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow was one of my favorite episodes from season 2. So.
So hard to pick one from that second season.
I know that second season was straight bangers the whole way, in my opinion. Your mileage may vary, but I had a good time with pretty much every episode last season. How do you feel about the resolution of this episode? Because this feels like an episode that is, obviously a little lighter on action, but it feels like a closure for Spock, and it was closure that Spock needed to me. What do you think about the resolution?
It's drawn a line under the Spock Chapel relationship, really, isn't it? I can't see it fully ending. I can imagine Spock is going to be sort of like a lost little puppy, maybe for a few episodes. Every so often we'll see him meet up with Chapel, and there may be a couple of awkward conversations. But I think the relationship has now been drawn a line under. I can't see them coming back to this. Spock may still have his own flirtations with the opposite sex over the next few seasons, but I think the Chapel storyline has now come to a close, unfortunately, because I really like the two of them together.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Both Ethan Peck and Jess Bush could have chemistry with a brick wall. Like they both just ooze charisma. So and then like watching them play off of each other is that's why those fireworks were there and so convincing and so believable.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't help as well that I've got such a massive crush on Jess Bush as well. She looked amazing at the party.
Oh gosh,
the makeup that she was wearing, I was just there going, "Oh, be still my heart."
Oh my gosh, all the costuming in that wedding scene was top-notch, gorgeous. Green is my favorite color. Everybody's wearing for the most part, wearing different shades of green. I was like, dang. I don't wear dresses. I want Chapel's dress. I want Batel's dress. I would wear those. They were gorgeous. Everybody looked so good. I loved it. Big props to the costuming department on this episode. But yeah, I think you're right. This really kind of draws a line in the sand. I think we're probably done with Spock Chapel tension here. But all of this well played, well performed by our cast. So, if you know me at all, one of the things I've been banging the gong for since season 1 is hashtag Mortegas. But I will. I'll say this: when I said hashtag Mortegas, I didn't mean give my girl PTSD. I didn't mean have her almost taken out by a Gorn. I'm not okay with this. couple of things. I got some more. I got more Tegas in this episode. I like a third of it. One thing I really like is the introduction of Beto Ortegas, or Brotegas, as I've been calling him in my head. What did you think of Beto?
Yeah, I think he's a great character, to be honest. I love the flirting that he's doing straight away with Uhura. And obviously he's there speaking Spanish to her. And at first she's being really coy and that, and yeah, 100% understands everything she's saying. But I love the fact that he's come on board. He's doing this documentary about the Enterprise and about I don't know about Ortegas as well. He's got this flying camera going round. I'm thinking, yeah, he's the TikToker of his era.
Right. He's documenting all the things. I thought he was really charming, and he's so like stinking cute. Good grief. I was trying to get a little more info about him. This is only his second role, like ever.
Wow.
If I understand correctly, he was in one episode of Chicago Med in 2019. So this is like his, yeah. So this is his second TV role, and he landed Star Trek. I was like, bro, well done.
This
But
could be the start of
just,
something big. On the other hand, Garrett Wong's first role was on Star Trek, so you never know.
right. You know, it's cool though. I just think he is so charming. He has that same kind of like what's the right word? Slightly chaotic energy that Ortegas does. So you could definitely they play well with each other as brother and sister. I thought that was really cool. Melissa doesn't have brothers; she has a sister. But I could definitely see, she has two sisters actually. But I could definitely see, Minor playing well with her as a little brother. So I just thought he was wonderfully charming, very cute, and just this whole hey, let's I'm gonna hit on your bestie because I think she's cute. Well, obviously the feeling's mutual, so hey, that's really fun and charming.
Yeah. And can we talk about Uhura's hair as well?
Oh gosh, looking good.
Yeah.
Rocking those curls. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, really enjoyed him, and but yeah, it's all leading into a bit of a dark storyline for Ortegas. But you know what? If that means we get to see more Ortegas over this, and by the way, flashback to Hegemony Part 2. Were you wondering that was going to be it for Ortegas?
No, and like no, not my girl. I will refuse to believe that anybody's going to off her. But I definitely saw when I saw that Gorn pick her up in Hegemony Part 2, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's Newt. Like,
yes,
yes, like that. I mean, Alien is my favorite movie. Hegemony Parts 1 and 2 was clearly a play on Aliens because they already did Alien in the first season with what is the name of that
All
episode?
Those Who Wonder.
Yeah. So I'm like, all right, we've done Alien, we've done Aliens. Are we gonna get Alien 3 at some point this season? No, thank you. Alien 3 sucks, and I will die on that hill.
Alien 3 director's cut. Watch that. You may change your mind.
Nope, I'm so furious. Within the first 10 minutes, I want to turn off the film every time I've tried to watch it.
Fair.
But yeah. So anyway, I was like, "Don't Newt my girl." Like I was really upset about this, but. So something I noticed on my rewatch of this episode that I didn't pick up the first time is, yes, the scene opens with Ortegas and Beto having like a sparring match. That's fun. Blah blah blah. So when they're walking down the hall with Uhura on their way to hang out at the bar, Ortega says something about finishing her training. What is she training for? What do you think? Because we don't get told that information.
I missed that.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a blink and you miss it kind of thing. I just Ortega's is on the screen. I'm paying attention.
But I don't know. Is she going into I don't know, advanced flight training? Um,
I mean, does
Section
that require
31?
boxing? Oh,
Boxing?
I hope not.
No,
I don't know
no.
shit, Section 31. But yeah, this is
Is she competing in a boxing tournament?
good question. We don't have an answer. So I'm curious to see what this is. Is this a special Starfleet training? Is this a boxing tournament like you mentioned? A good question. I don't know. So if you folks listening out there have any thoughts, we'll be glad to hear them. But so we get to the end of the episode and we see her leave the party because she's looking sad or troubled. And she's back in the training room hitting the bag, and she seems to be having some sort of PTSD episode. What are your thoughts, Geoff?
We see a reflection as well because she's looking at herself in the portal of the ship, in the window of the ship, and we see that thing over her, and I'm thinking, is that a Gorn? Because it didn't quite look like a Gorn. It was a Gorn. Okay, because it didn't quite look right to me, but yeah, there's I don't know. We've seen obviously what's been happening with Batel, with the fact that they've been using Una's blood to help Batel and the embryos from basically doing a chest burster on her. Has something happened similar to Ortegas? Is there some Gorn part of her now because of the fact that she was using that machine, that ship in Hegemony Part 2? Is there now some sort of Borg type assimilation going on with her? Not the Borg themselves, but some sort of Gorn infiltration of her system. I don't know.
That's something I'd not considered, because they make a point of showing that, and maybe it's because she got a good stab in the chest from the Gorn, like when she's flying that ship, she's bleeding onto the ship. So that's something I'd not considered. My knee-jerk reaction is I don't think so, based on what we know how the Gorn reproduce. I don't think that's the case. I am inclined to think this is more of a PTSD thing.
I think you're probably right, and my partner would probably say to me, "You're overthinking this," because I've got a tendency to overthink things. So,
I mean, I do the same thing, dude. So, no, you're in good company. But I'm inclined to think this is more of a PTSD situation. So, where's the ship's counselor?
Yeah, exactly. But would Ortegas be the sort of person that would go to a counselor? Because she seems very much her own person. I'm in charge of my own destiny. I fly the ship. Would she do that, or would she think, no, this is something I've got to do. This is something I've got to get over. So,
part of the reason I love Ortega so much is that I feel like I'm looking in a mirror a lot of times whenever she's on screen, because I too am a smartass, and I like to drive. So I'll tell you this. It took a long time for me to go to counseling, and I had to have something really tough happen in my life to give me that push. And I had needed to go to counseling before the tough thing happened. So, I think if she's not done it already, I mean, she's already a war veteran.
Yeah.
Surely surely the Federation is advanced enough to make sure all of their war veterans have ongoing access to counseling services after that sort of thing occurs. But it's never something that we see on screen because, we think of the Federation as being so advanced, but the first time we ever see a ship's counselor is, next gen. And at that point, at that point, like, it still felt like Guinan did more counseling than Deanna did. I mean, are we just going to harken back to what they said, Dr. Boyce said in the first, original pilot of TOS, a man will tell his bartender things he would never tell his doctor. Are we going to get that kind of situation here?
What is possible, particularly with the fact as well that we could be having a new bartender joining the ship as well.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, what is the name of that particular alien species? Because I cannot remember.
It's the same as Arex, isn't it?
Yeah.
Give me 2 seconds. Let me see what the race's name is. Because obviously, Memory Alpha won't have the information about this character yet.
Edosian.
Edosian, of course it is, yeah.
Yeah.
So we seem to have an Edosian bartender on board the Enterprise now. And let's face it, wouldn't you want her mixing your drinks with her 3 arms?
As somebody who's been accused of having a side hustle as a bartender, thank you, Star Trek Cocktails, Stellar Compendium. I would love to have a third arm to shake stuff up while I'm measuring and cutting garnishes and things like that. I would love that. That would be so helpful. And as somebody who's a little bit geeky about bartending, for those of us in the States, you can get pretty much all of that barware at Williams-Sonoma, except we don't have any with the Starfleet Delta etched on there, sadly. But almost all of that is Williams-Sonoma barware and glassware. I say this as somebody who's worked there seasonally for a few years. I got really geeky about that because that's my favorite place to hang out in the store. But anyway, if you too would like to cosplay or dress up for Halloween as the Edosian bartender, there's where you get your props. Oh gosh. Anyway, yeah, so it sounds like we're gonna have a 3-armed bartender on the Enterprise. I'm down.
Yeah, and let's talk about how she looks as well, because they've obviously gone back and looked at the animated series, because we've never seen an Edosian in live action before. And
I know, right? So exciting.
And the good thing is behind the bar you don't see below their waist, because obviously we know Edosians have got 3 legs as well. How they would do that in live action, I don't know. But they did amazing things with Saru and the way that Doug Jones walked around on 2 legs.
Sure.
So,
Yeah. Who knows? But I'm excited to have someone who's not like a human or a Vulcan. Not somebody with a different nose or head ridge. Or ears. This is a good step, I think, and just something that I give props to the costuming and special effects makeup department on Strange New Worlds, doing a bang up job with the Edosian character. I love it.
Yeah, hope we see more of her.
Yeah, very good there. Do we get a name for the Edosian bartender?
Not yet, I don't think. I was listening out, but no. But then we didn't get a name for Reith Darby's character neither, so,
And we also didn't get a name for the handsome nurse who's filling in for Chapel.
I was going to talk about him as well, because
Yeah, tell me about him, because I've been calling him Ensign Handsome Locks. So, what do you...
I can tell you the actor's name.
Oh, okay, please.
The actor's name is Chris Myers.
Chris Myers, okay.
He hasn't got many IMDb credits neither, but again, he's on Star Trek now. I think we're going to see more of him over the course of this season. Now, maybe it's me overthinking things again, but I think he's going to be an ongoing part of this. And I think this first introduction has been a case of he's been brought onto the ship. He's been filling in for Chapel while the Enterprise has been in dry dock, while they've been repairing it. He is now on board during this next part of the 5-year mission. What's going to happen to him? I think there's more about this character than meets the eye at the moment.
Yeah. I really enjoyed him. He's very, very charming. I mean, gosh, props to the casting department on Strange New Worlds for apparently finding all of the absurdly attractive and ridiculously charming people on the planet and putting them in this show. Like, because everybody's just knocking it out of the park. I really enjoyed him. He, even for like the small scenes that he had really good like screen presence. Already, like, just, it's like, oh, who's this guy? He seems really sweet. Like, let's get to know him better. And he's hanging out with the crew at the bar when they're all in their civvies or whatever. So, yeah, I just thought, oh, this guy's cool. Who is he? I hope we see more of him.
Yeah, exactly. Can we talk about that scene as well? I presume you're
Yes.
talking about Spock's stag party.
Oh, I was talking about the scene at the beginning of the episode, but let's talk about Spock's stag party. For those listening in the U.S., that's what we call a bachelor party.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, no, it's fine. We are a multinational podcast, so let's use both terminologies.
The English language divided by 2 countries.
Indeed. So I have never been to a stag party or bachelor party because I'm a lady. So tell me all about that, Geoff.
I have been to precisely 1 stag party in my entire life, and it wasn't even a stag party because it was a mix with the hen party as well, which is the bachelorette party. So we ended up, all of us, going out and just wandering around Cardiff city centre, finding pubs and what have you. But the one thing I wanted to bring up on this was Scotty in the stag party, because I love the moment when they say, oh, what do you fancy to drink? And he goes, oh, I don't drink much. Paraphrasing. It's like, Scotty, hang on, you don't drink
It's
much.
like, yes, that definitely caught my attention. It's like, I have additional questions.
Well,
So apparently that's changed at some point.
but did you notice in the background where Spock and Pike are talking, he's eating this food because obviously they've got this food that's there for Spock, they've got it for the human characters, and he takes a bite of one, and you see him then grab a glass and pour himself a drink.
No, I missed that entirely. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So I think this is the start of Scotty's alcohol dependency.
Oh my goodness.
Because he then
Wow.
orders 2 Guinnesses at the end of the episode with the Adosian bartender.
Yeah. Hey, one, I'm glad Guinness is still going all this time in the future. I think that's fun.
You know what else? Do you know what
Go ahead.
else I'm glad is still going?
Yeah.
Wake me up before you go.
Hey, Geoff, you may know that I moonlight as a DJ and trivia and music bingo host. Let me tell you, I played Wake Me Up Before You Go at Music Bingo the other night. Everybody popping off still, 40 plus years later. And so it does not surprise me. Hundreds of years into the future, people are still popping off to Wake Me Up Before You Go.
I'm loving the fact that we now know that that's going to have a memory alphabet, as will Wham.
Hey, how about that? Hey, Wham and the Beastie Boys.
Yes.
Hey, I'm okay with that. Enjoy both. So, but you were talking about the stag party. Anything else
sorry.
you want to elaborate on that? That's okay. It's okay. Go ahead.
I mean, to be honest, it sort of fizzles out, but it was Scotty's interactions on that I loved the most because, as I said, I was watching him. As soon as he said, I don't drink much, I thought, just kept an eye on him as it was going on. But I do love the fact that, Spock is there trying to explain what's going on. He's there with Corby. And Corby's obviously looking around and going, yeah, they're not getting this. And just says, oh yeah, to the bride and groom. And all this time, because Sam has said, oh, he's got cold feet, he looks like he's just got pre-wedding jitters.
Yeah.
So, of course, they're going, "Oh yeah, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine." To the groom and what have you, and they're just not listening to Spock because they think Spock's just coming up with any reason to get out of this wedding. Um, but yeah, I loved seeing that. But as I said, Scotty was my focus for that particular scene. So.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Really, really enjoyed that. This is a episode with a lot of great comedy beats. Again, I think Jordan Canning is really great at directing those and pulling those out, and giving us some good humor in our Star Trek as well.
Yeah. We are going to have to talk about that tartan because we spent about an hour before we started talking on Discord, um,
Yeah.
because I paused it to try and find out what that tartan was. I was looking at Scott family tartan, Scott clan tartan. I was like, no, it's not that. And then you said, oh, it might be Quinn because it's Martin Quinn. I thought,
Right.
no, it's not that. Um, and then you mentioned about, well, was it in the original series? So I had to look back, and it's the exact same tartan that Scotty wears in the Savage Curtain, and that's been answered online, and it is a Scott family tartan. It's not the one that came up when I did my search, first of all. It's an original Scott family tartan. Apparently, James Doohan in the original series said, "Well, if we're getting the tartan, can we get the Scott tartan?" Which was great thinking by James Doohan, to be fair. And
Yeah.
they ordered it and shipped it in from Scotland to get the right tartan for the Scott family clan. Which I thought fair play for them for doing that in the 60s, and fair play for them now in 2025 referring back to that and using the exact same tartan. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Uh,
it's the costume department again.
yeah, again, we have given mad props to the costume department the entire episode, and they just continue to knock it out every single time. Especially in this one where you have so much elaborate costuming, but making that original series connection. Because when we were talking about it this morning, I was like, wait a minute, Scotty did wear a tartan at least one time in the original series. I wonder if it's the same pattern. Do you have any Scottish ancestry at all, Jeff?
My mother was Scottish.
Oh.
However, that's only because she was born in Scotland. She comes from a Welsh family, as well. So I was
Mm.
okay. Here's something that's going to be tough to admit on air. I was raised in Wales. I'm
Mm-hmm.
quite proud to be Welsh, except I wasn't born in Wales. I was born in England, which is probably now going
Ah.
to alienate me from so many people. um, I was born just over the border in Hereford, but my dad was Welsh. My mum is Scottish with Welsh heritage, so I consider myself Welsh.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Uh, yeah.
do
I,
I have any Scottish heritage? Otherwise, no, not really.
gotcha.
My partner
Gotcha.
does though. She's a
Mm.
Henderson, and she comes from the MacDonald family clan originally. So when
Mm.
we were up in Scotland last year on holiday, we were looking into the tartans and looking into the history of the MacDonald clan. It was quite fascinating to go back and look at her history actually.
Yeah, yeah. I don't have any Scottish ancestry on my side, but Mr. Nerdy Blogger does. His grandmother was Burns.
Oh.
So I actually, when we were having our tartan discussion this morning, I sent a note to my mother in law. I was like, what was your mom's tartan? Do you happen to know? Because I tried looking up Burns, and there are many to choose from on the official tartan registry. So anyway, that is neither here nor there. But was just curious, Jeff, if you had experience looking up tartans before this morning. I only even know there's a tartan registry because the school I went to for undergrad has Scottish roots, and they have their own officially licensed tartan that when I was working in the bookstore, we had to order a ream of it from Scotland, and it was stupid expensive. So the fact that they got a TOS, like in TOS, they got enough budget to order Jimmy Doohan an official Scott tartan,
Mm.
like I know what it was in like early mid 2000s money when we ordered a ream of it, and that was like $5,000 American. So I can and then like when we had tartans or kilts made for a couple of the organizations, and one student's grandmother specially ordered a kilt for him, that was like around $600, like in the mid 2000s. So I can only imagine it was more than, it was a larger line item in the budget than I am surprised they approved. So
But I think it was all about the attention to detail. And you know, here we are 60 years later, and they're still
yeah.
keeping that attention to detail. So, you know, fair
Yeah.
play on that.
Yeah. Again, props to the costuming department. Sorry for that really long rabbit trail, but I did bring it back. Promise. All right, Geoff, is there anything else you want to hit on for this episode?
Um, I know we've hit on a lot of things already, and we haven't even talked about um Pike. No, there is actually one thing I wanted to mention. Rhys Darby's entity, after he gets found out at the end of the wedding party, I got the distinct impression that that was ad-libbed, that he was just having a go. And he's going, "Oh, you're going to die. You're dead." Looking around at people, how dare you wear a crown and upstage the bride? And why are you wearing? Why are you in blue? You knew we were wearing blue. I get a feeling he was just told, "Have fun, do some crowd work," because I think he's
Oh
kind of
yeah.
comic as well.
Yeah, he is, and that's a good shout. That could definitely have been an improvised scene. Oh, you without the mouth. Actually, no, I like you. You're okay. Yeah, that was really fun. There are just a couple other tiny details that I picked up on this rewatch that I did before we started recording. There's somebody in the credits credited as Rongovian delegate. Is that who Mbenga was talking to at the bar?
I believe so.
Okay.
But that seemed a strange addition that he just went, "Oh, are you the medical officer of the Enterprise?" It's like, yeah, that seemed to go into a conversation. Why did they make this character up with such a elaborate makeup and costume design for effectively just two throwaway lines? I don't know. I'm overthinking again.
It's a good question. I believe that was Rongovian.
Have we seen the Rongovians before?
Uh,
We
Taking a
have.
quick peek on Memory Alpha. Yes, they show up in Spockamok in
Yes, they
season one.
did.
Yep. Yes, they are who Pike is trying to treaty with.
Yeah.
And they have radical empathy.
Yeah.
So,
They copy
yeah.
their emotions. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So that's really interesting. I'm curious to see what will become of that.
By the way, I love Pikes. As soon as everyone realizes what they're doing and the entity disappears off, Pike trying to bring everyone back down. And he's doing this speech on the stage, trying to say, "Oh, you know, and the bar's open," and he's umming and
Yeah.
ahhing more than me when I'm recording podcasts. Uh, I fully got that. It's like I've got to stand up. I've got to say something. I'm the captain, but I don't know what the hell to say. So
Yeah.
here we go. Oh, and the bar's open.
Yeah. Yep. Hey, mass delusion, that's a new thing. New experience for the Enterprise. Yeah. The other detail that I think, and I can't remember if we mentioned it when we were talking about him, but it sounds like Beto has gotten approved to shoot a documentary and therefore will be hanging out on the Enterprise longer term. So it'll be fun to have him hang out, I think. So
We've got
any other thoughts on that?
Well, we've got a few characters now who've popped up in this episode who are likely to come back over the course of the next few episodes. Beto, the Adosian bartender. Scotty is now in the credits, I notice. He is now a regular cast member. Roger Corby, this medical ensign, I think we're going to see these ongoing stories, these ongoing plots going through the rest of the season and possibly beyond. Um, I don't know if you've spoken about it in the first episode, but obviously at this point we know how long Strange New Worlds is going to run for. Um,
Yeah, I don't think that had been announced yet when we recorded. So
okay.
yeah,
So yeah, we know that it's going to run to seasons, and the fifth season is going to be 6 episodes. Which part of me's going, okay, so we know we're going to get a final episode that they knew about, and they're not going to have to do what they did with Discovery and Lower Decks.
yeah.
Um, but we now know what the timeline for Star Trek Strange New Worlds is. So let's see where it goes next. Sorry,
Yeah.
I know we kind of brought it down a little bit at the end.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, I'm hoping those 6 episodes are 2 hours each. Please and thank you. I'll take that. But
Please.
we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what we get there. All right. Do you have any hopes or expectations for the rest of season 3, Jeff?
I was going to say, I hope that we get one more episode so Star Trek will have a series with 47 episodes in rather than 46.
Come
in
on,
Trek
bro.
Fest.
It is right there. Paramount Plus, please.
But as for the rest of season 3, well, I've got the next 3 episodes that I can watch and I haven't watched yet. I I just want to see more of the same, in all honesty, because I love
Yep.
what Strange New Worlds has given us so far, and I just hope they carry on with it. More Tegas, obviously,
Obviously, that's the correct
um,
answer.
and personally more Christine Chapel because Jess Bush is wonderful.
Yeah.
Um, Kurt North would probably say more Laan because I know he feels
Yes.
about Christina Chong the same way I do about Jess Bush.
Yeah.
But just give everyone a chance to carry on doing what they're doing. More Pike, more Spock, even if we make the episodes longer, so we get more of everyone and more story and more fun and more. Yeah, sorry, I'm easy. Well, I'm demanding with Star Trek. Just give me more.
Yeah. I think like my big thing is I really want to spend time getting to know the characters that we don't know from original series or any other iteration of Star Trek. So I want more Tegas. I want more Laan. More instant handsome locks. let's give him a name because we don't even find out the poor guy's name in this episode.
No.
I really want to spend more time with characters that we haven't seen before, characters that are new to this series, because I've got all of original series to know Kirk and Spock, and that's no shade on Paul Wesley or Ethan Peck because I think they're wonderful. But I really want to spend more time getting to know Ortegas and Laan and Una, who we only see in the original pilot. I want to spend more time with the characters that we don't know as well. That would be my one hope for this season, is that we get to spend more time getting to know them better.
Can I spin it the other way then? Which of the
Please.
original series characters do you think, if any, we're going to see next? I've got my money on McCoy.
I was thinking, is we did talk about this in the first episode, and I think I said, if we get another one next, I'm imagining it's McCoy. I believe some of the other guys suggested that we might get Sulu. I wouldn't be mad about Sulu either. But I think if we're gonna get another one, we've got Kirk, Spock. We need Bones.
Yeah,
So complete the soul triptych.
yeah.
So.
I think the one we're least likely to see is Chekhov, because I would imagine at this point he's still a kid. He's probably not even in the academy yet.
Right.
Sulu we might see as a cadet, possibly, if we do see him. Dr. McCoy, I could imagine him having the same sort of history as his Kelvin time-like compatriot, which is he's a civilian and he enters Starfleet because he's roped in. So who knows? We know McCoy is an older gentleman at this point, so he should
Right.
be practicing medicine at this point.
Yeah. I think the only other character that we've seen teased, that we haven't seen anything yet, is Cybok. We got that tease at the end of episode 7 in season 1, The Serene Squall. So I would love to see Cybok and Captain Angel.
Okay.
Let's do that.
One more for you then. Maybe we'll see Cadet Janice Rand.
Ooh, okay. I'll take that. So we'll see. We'll see if any of these come to fruition by the end of the season. Very good. All right. Well, Geoff, is there anything else you want to touch on before we wrap today?
No, I think we've spoken a lot about this episode and Strange New Worlds in general, so I'll let somebody else have their fun now.
All right. Well, Geoff, why don't you tell the folks at home where they can connect with you and hear more about your work?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can get me on Blue Sky. I'm at NCC I'm at NCC17 Formula One. As you mentioned earlier on at the top of the show, I am the host of Make It So, a Star Trek Legacy podcast. The most recent episode at this point is the one you joined me for, Ashley, where we got to talk with the wonderful Lisa Klink about her history on Star Trek Voyager. Really enjoyed that episode. Next episode is coming out. We're talking about Michael Eddington, which may even be out at this point, where I talk with Carlos Miranda and Lee Hutchinson. That's the next planned episode. I'm also the host of 8-Bit Back Issues, which is a retro gaming podcast, which you have been on as well yourself, Ashley.
I think have you gotten all 4 We Are Starfleet hosts on 8-Bit Back Issues?
Not Mike yet.
Okay. Well, we need to work on that then. But you've had me, Ian, and Craig.
Yes, 3 out of the 4 so far. Funnily enough, I'm trying to go through the Shipwrecked and Comatose crew, the Red Dwarf podcast, doing the same. And the only one I haven't got so far is my former Make It So co-host, Kurt North. So
we're just Pokemon cards to you, Geoff.
Gotta collect them all. And coming soon next month, there's my new Disney movie podcast, 3 Circles, which can be found at 3 Circles FS on all the socials as well. 8-Bit Back Issues is Linktree/8-Bit Back Issues. Very good.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Geoff. This is a real treat. Always fun to podcast with you, brother.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Folks, thanks for joining us for another episode of We Are Starfleet, and remember that we are part of the Film Stories Podcast Network. Please subscribe to We Are Starfleet and give us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, and if you want to help us out, we would love to connect with you on Blue Sky at starfleetpod.bsky.social and Instagram at starfleetpod. Find all our links at beacons.ai/wearestarfleet. But until next time, hit it!